Okay, I just have to start today with JD Vance because that guy has been eating a lot of you know what lately. You know what I'm talking about. He's been eating a lot of it. And let's just start with the fact that he has been the vice president of the United States. I mean, less than a year and a half. And he is right now the most unpopular vice president on record. And Harry Enton over at CNN did this whole chart. So you got to take a look at this chart where it shows just how unpopular JD Vance is. And it's not just the polls. I mean, you can maybe they argue, I guess they could argue it's polls, they're imperfect. What are they measuring? Here's the thing. He went and spoke at Turning Point USA this past week, which is an event that should be his base. I mean, it should be, it's run by Erica Kirk. It used to be run by Charlie Kirk. It should be Vance Fanatics, Vanciacs, whatever they call themselves. But you got to take a look at what it looked like in this auditorium. It was by no means full. Look at the auditorium. Like, holy cow. Those are the people who are supposed to love the vice president. Maybe they've also been asked in the poll what they think. But that was what it looked like at Turning Point USA. He wasn't a surprise guest. He was very much advertised in advance of that. Okay, fast forward to the fact that Vance also, in the last couple of weeks, went to Hungary to campaign for authoritarian sweetheart Viktor Orban. And you know what happened? Viktor Orban lost. He was absolutely shellacked in the race. They also lost a ton of seats in the legislature. So there you go. Vance, loser, loser, loser. Nobody wants to go see him, and nobody in the country likes him. Actually, they like him less than any vice president in history. That's where he is, less than a year and a half in. The man is in his early 40s and desperately wants to be president. Now, here's the other part of this that I find to be so interesting. He was supposed to be the guy kind of leading the midterm fight for Republicans, like the sought after surrogate to come campaign with Senate candidates and House candidates, gubernatorial candidates, people around the country. They wanted some Vance love, or that was supposed to be what was going to happen. Well, in the state of Ohio, his home state, where he was elected Senate in, I just love this so much. The Democrats, and this was the Danny Isaacson. I'm going to play this for you. He's the House Minority Leader. I just want to get his title right before I played this for you. Here's what he had to say about Vance campaigning in Ohio.
Mr. Vice President Vance, we need your help here in Ohio. My name is Danny Isaacson. I am the House Minority Leader for the Democrats in the Ohio Legislature, and we need your help breaking the supermajority for the first time in over a decade. You went to Hungary, you campaigned for Viktor Orban, you campaigned on behalf of anti-democratic policies that limit people's basic rights, and you helped Viktor Orban lose that campaign. The Hungarian people rejected the policies you were there to promote. That's the energy we need you to bring here to Ohio. It's a beautiful day here in Cincinnati. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping in a year where we are going to break the supermajority. And Vice President Vance, we need your help to do it. Whatever energy and magic you brought to help the Hungarian people reject the candidate you were there to promote, that's the help we need here in Ohio.
Bring your energy and magic to Ohio, and you're the Republican, but it's going to help elect Democrats. That's quite a crushing message. It kind of reminds me of what a lot of Democratic leaders and Democrats behind the scenes were thinking and saying and telling me when there was this story a couple of weeks ago about how the White House strategy was to send their weird cabinet members out and campaign in districts for House members. They were like, please, by all means, please send them out. Okay, speaking of the very unappealing members of the cabinet in the Trump administration, I don't know if you've seen this. If you haven't seen it, you just have to watch it because Dr. Oz and Donald Trump Jr. had a conversation this week. I don't even really know the context of this, but I just got to play a chunk of this conversation for you.
Your dad argues that diet soda is good for him because it kills grass. It's poured on grass, so therefore it must kill cancer cells inside the body. So he'll try to, please. I'm not even going to argue this right now. We were on Air Force One the other day, and I walk in there because he wants to talk about something, and he's got an orange soft drink on his desk.
Fanta. He drinks Fanta.
That's what I didn't want to say the brand name on the podcast. He's got Fanta on the desk, and I say, "Are you kidding me?" So he starts to like sheepishly grin. He goes, "You know, this stuff's good for me. It kills cancer cells." And then he tells me it's fresh squeezed. So how bad could it be for you?
Okay. But then maybe he's onto something, because I will say this. I know a lot of guys pushing 80. Not a lot that have his level of energy, recall, stamina. Is he just the exception that proves the rule? I'm not saying we got to adapt this, but, maybe there's something.
I mean, first of all, if the advertisement for Fanta is you can have the recall of Donald Trump, I mean, it may kill their stock. No one may buy Fanta again, except for hardcore MAGA people. Also, Dr. Oz, technically a doctor, a quack, obviously, but that is Looney Tunes, and certainly Fanta is not fresh squeezed. There we go. Okay. There's so many other things going on. Now, there's this thing coming up that I want to share, because in a week and a half, not this weekend, the next weekend, is the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which is also known as Nerd Prom, because all of the nerdy reporters and nerdy members of Congress and the people who are nerds who work for them go to a ballroom in Washington, and it's this long ceremony. Now, it's celebrating the freedom of speech, the freedom of press. That's incredibly important, especially in a moment like this. A lot of journalists get awards. This is the key part. Now, Donald Trump says he's going. I don't think he's been to one of these as president. So he says he's going. There's also a mentalist instead of a comedian. That's kind of a weird sidebar thing that's happening. But he says he's going. What does that mean? It means this. The president and his team sits on the dais on the front of the stage during this event. And the awards to journalists, which is the core of this whole thing, are given by typically the president of the White House Correspondents Association, who stands at the lectern in the middle of the dais and gives these awards. And these journalists walk on the stage, they accept their award, and then they typically shake the hand of the president, the first lady, everyone up there. So guess what? You remember the Wall Street Journal Epstein birthday card story? I'm going to just show you a little visual just to remind you of what this story was about. It was about this creepy birthday card. And it has quite a drawing on it. Now, this story at the time, the White House denied that Donald Trump was involved in this, that he had anything to do with this birthday card. They even sued. There was even a lawsuit that they filed. This story is winning an award at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So what does that mean? That means the reporters who wrote this story, if they're in attendance, which I assume they will be because they're winning an award, will be coming on stage and shaking hands with the president of the Correspondents Association, which is CBS this year, I would note, and also likely the president of the United States, who is suing them over this story because it's about a birthday card that he sent to Jeffrey Epstein. That is super, super creepy. Okay, that I can't even, it's I guess, congrats. What is Donald Trump going to say? Congrats. I'm still filing. I'm still at it. I'm still going to continue pursuing the lawsuit against you for filing the story that you just won an award for. It's so awkward. I can't wait to see what happens. Okay, here's another big story that's been happening this week that we've all been following, and it is, of course, Eric Swalwell resigning. Now, he is not the only member of Congress who resigned for an inappropriate relationship with a member of his team this week. Congressman Gonzalez also resigned. That one is much older. The Republicans took a long, long while to push him out, I think only under the pressure of the fact that the Democrats immediately pushed Eric Swalwell out. But here's the other thing that has been notable about this, okay? What's been notable about this is that the Republicans, the right wing, the Jesse Waters of the world, shall I say, have basically missed the point of why this is such a disgusting and repulsive accusations that we've been talking about related to Eric Swalwell. So I just want to play. Now, Eric Swalwell has been accused of assault, of raping a woman, of roofing a woman, by multiple others of inappropriate behavior. These are serious, serious allegations. And here is what Jesse Waters had to say about this whole thing.
Okay, and also don't just whip it out. Allegedly, he was just whipping it out in a car in broad daylight in front of the intern. Like, that's not the moment you do it. It has to be done in the moment of maybe some passion. Never with an intern.
I just want to state again for all men out there, no woman wants that. Women don't work the same way men do when it comes to getting turned on. All right? You maybe send a picture of your bicep or, depending on your situation, your wallet. Just being honest about some women. But the dick pics, it doesn't work like that.
I mean, okay, true, but like you're missing the whole freaking point here. Eric Swalwell, person in a position of power, was the leading candidate running for governor in California. It was way more than a dick pic. It was him being accused of raping, assaulting multiple women, making accusations. That's what we should be talking about here, and the culture of that. They've completely missed the mark, and it is so telling. I do want to play someone who, I mean, what's been interesting about this story too is that one of the reasons it's been pushed forward is that there are a number of online influencers, women, obviously, who have been kind of pushing the story, raising concerns about Swalwell and really speaking truth about it, unlike Megyn Kelly and Jesse Waters there. And I want to just play one of them from Mrs. Frazzled. You may have heard of her. She talks to politicians like they're preschoolers. But here's what she had to say.
In November, I interviewed Congressman Eric Swalwell. I was on a launch call for his gubernatorial campaign, and that was posted to my story. And very quickly, I got messages saying, do not talk to that man, do not send him your phone number, do not add him on Snapchat. You just don't want to get involved. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty forceful reaction. That's never happened before. Carrying on, every week, it seemed like I was hearing more and more from people saying, friends of mine who had had encounters with him and interns he had slept with and stuff that had happened years and years ago, stuff that had happened recently. And I started to get really disgusted. I didn't want to do this anymore. I couldn't fathom working in politics in any capacity if this was just something that was this is just how it is. This is how men on the Hill are. And I was like, no, this is not regular cheating. This is not regular weirdness. This is abuse of power. This is sexual harassment. And I'm a victim of that. And I'm not okay with that. And I refuse to act like it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, what this is exposing is a culture, and there are still big questions about who knew what when, and I am betting they're going to continue to be asked.